Much like the elk and the buffalo on our list, when a horse falls into a pool, it can be really difficult to get out. This is because the combination of weight and the water and how high the walls of the pool are. These animals can't get their legs high enough to get the heck out of those pools. So at one point or another, humans have to come to the rescue. In this video, the horse in question had an entire team of firefighters and an emergency animal rescue crew helping lift it out of the water. But this time, they decided to tranquilize the horse in order to get it out. I'm sure that the horse must have been thrashing around a lot for them to make a decision like that. When the video starts, we are in the midst of these two crews pulling the horse from the water using a pulley system that's attached to a harness. Once they actually get the horse out of the water, they then lay it down over some towels and get it ready to be transported in the truck that was brought along. Now, I'm sure whoever owns the horse must be missing it, as much as I'm sure that the horse must be super happy to be out of that freaking pool. During shooting for the ITV show Wild at Heart, a giraffe broke onto the set and became trapped in a swimming pool, finally escaping after 3 hours. Animals on the nature preserve where the show is shot are allowed to wander as they would like, with the actors and crew attempting to have as little effect on their surroundings as possible. Despite being 14 months pregnant, a giraffe named Lucy managed to slip past a fence and find herself on set. Adam Friedlander, the producer of Wild at Heart, said that while they were unsure how she fell into the pool, they assumed that she was drinking from it and got disoriented, falling in because her head was too low. The water was emptied to guarantee the giraffe's safety, and the team considered making stairs out of sandbags in order to assist its exit, but eventually decided against it due to concerns that the giraffe might slide and hurt itself. After 3 hours of struggle, the fire department would then be summoned and excavated a hole, luring the giraffe out with food. Thankfully, the errant giraffe was unharmed, and it went about its giraffe-like business after being let free. A search warrant would be used at a house near LaGrangeville, roughly 90 minutes north of New York City, by officers from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. They were investigating a tip that the house could be home to illegal animals. Authorities discovered 7 live sandbar sharks, 2 dead leopard sharks, and a dead hammerhead shark in a 15-foot above-ground pool in the basement of the house when they arrived. A local expert remarked that she had studied over 4,000 cases, but never saw anything like this. Crocodiles, snakes, and stingrays and alligators have all been seen by her, but she's never seen sharks. The homeowner has not been charged with a crime as of yet, and neither his name nor address have been made public. The person was just most likely reproducing the sharks to sell to private collectors, even though sand tiger sharks are a federally protected species. That is, unless you have a special permission, it's actually unlawful to possess them anywhere on the East Coast. The sharks were captured and removed from the pool using nets, and the creatures were carefully transferred to the Long Island Aquarium, where they're now quarantined and being nursed back to health. The young sharks are 1 to 3 years old and may grow to be up to 9 feet long, making them much too large to be maintained as an exotic and illegal pet, according to experts. A family was startled to see a 3-ton hippo swimming in their pool when they awoke. Brent Reed claimed that the huge male was found in the early hours of December 31st in the yard of his house in Botswana by a night watchman. The safari director was able to take photos of his youngest son Troy and his buddy Kyle looking down at the wild animal, which he described as totally at peace in their company. The hippo, one of the world's largest and most deadly creatures, seems to be in no rush to leave the family's 2-meter deep pool, finally climbing out after the new year. They didn't believe that it could actually escape, but on January 1st it did, and they awoke at 2 a.m. to find the hippo munching outside of their bedroom. Mr. Reed, who also hosts the National Geographic Wild series Safari Brothers, said the summer of 2018 was exceptionally hot and dry in the area. It was a big guy and the drought had lasted almost a year, so it's natural that the hippo would attempt to get some moisture for itself. Because the river had dried up, the swimming pool was probably the most appealing location for the hippo to remain, given that the house is next to a dry riverbed. Hippos with their massive jaws capable of crushing crocodiles are one of Africa's most deadly creatures. They can achieve speeds of almost 20 miles per hour on land and are at home in the water, where they'll charge boats and humans if they feel threatened. Mr. Reed claimed that the unwelcome visitor caused a massive cleanup operation after he left a significant mess in his previously spotless pool. Having a swimming pool is a great way to cool down in the heat. However, for the tiny creatures who live in your backyard, it may be a death trap. Rich Mason, a wildlife scientist, is on a mission to alter that with his simple but brilliant innovation, the frog log. Mason stated on his official website that in June of 2004, he received a call from close friends who had just constructed an in-ground swimming pool on their forested property outside Baltimore, Maryland, informing him that frogs were drowning in the pool. Mason was so disturbed by what he was hearing that he decided to build a kind of life raft for the animals to utilize if they were stuck in the pool. An inflated platform with a connected mesh skirt, a weighted pouch that attaches the gadget to the pool's edge, and a mesh ramp linking the two ends up making the frog log. Mason created the frog log prototypes entirely by hand using fabric and foam. Mason's clever creation received over 68,000 likes and a flood of praise when it made the news on the dodo. And you know, every species deserves a chance to live, and the frog log is now another method to ensure that this occurs. As we're seeing from our list, sometimes animals really just want to find some relief from the scorching sun in the hot summer months. And can you really blame them? Maybe just leave them be and let them cool off. Other times, however, the cool-off session turns into a bit of a sticky situation, like for this cute little owl. This breeding male took a bath in a nearby swimming pool during a heat wave in southern Spain at the beginning of August. Unfortunately for the owl, the pool's steep edges prevented him from climbing out, putting him in grave risk of drowning. Fortunately, the owl was not noticed by the family, who used a broom to pull the wet bird out of the water, and it was able to raise a second brood of young after surviving the ordeal. Barn owls have delicate feathers that absorb water, and many of them die in containers with steep sides that they can't get out of, like water troughs. But not this time. Where does an 800-pound bull moose go for a swim? The answer? He can go wherever he wants, even if it's in a pool in the second largest city of Maine. Just ask Mark Adams, who was at work on Monday when a moose jumped into his pool and swam about until wardens calmed him down and transferred him to a state gaming farm. It was most likely the same moose that had been in another pool until a warden startled it and it bolted away, according to the police. It required 2 doses of tranquilizers at Adams's home to paralyze the moose and a crane to load it onto a pickup truck. The animal would be kept at the state game farm in Gary for a while before being released into the woods, according to the wardens. This time of year, it's not uncommon to see moose out and about. When mating season begins, they begin to move about quite a bit. Adams was pleased with how things had turned out and didn't create any issues, but I don't believe that he was overjoyed either. The pool owner just seemed to be relieved that the moose would be taken care of. Now, if there's one animal in the world who's absolutely cute and mischievous at the same time, it would be the raccoon. They're capable of simultaneously not giving a crap about anything and being so cute. To illustrate my point, here's a raccoon not giving one single crap, and it's just floating around in the pool. A couple in Toronto, Canada watched as a raccoon strolled around their backyard pool before deciding that it needed to cool down. As he took footage of the animal putting its front paws in the water, James Novak actually chuckled. It then tiptoed around the pool's edge until it came across the steps, hopped into the water, and then just started paddling. Catherine Krieger joked that all the raccoon needed was some sunglasses and a drink when she posted a picture of him drying off on the pool deck later that day. The raccoon had gone for 2 more swims and a few lazy laps. Lazy indeed. I would have had a very difficult time disturbing the peace that this raccoon seems to have found in the pool. Sorry, bud, but I hope you enjoyed it while it lasted.